as a Native American and because I'm brown, they think I represent all of the 576 federally tribes, and I don't, In fact, I don't even represent all of my Diné Navajo people because I'm an individual just like everybody else. And when I say things, it's my voice, it's me, it's my beliefs and my traditions and culture.
Welcome to the Destinations podcast. Today, we're taping in the beautiful music suite of the Elizabeth Hotel in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Eugene Tapahe. He is an artist extraordinaire. Cultures is so proud to work with him and display his beautiful Native American photography and art. He'll tell you all about his background, what he does across the country, the Jingle Bell Project, and some of his recent work that has been featured in New York, Salt Lake City, and Phoenix, among others. So let's meet Eugene Tapahe. Hi there.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I'm so glad to have you here. Thanks for flying in.
Yes, it was really, it's exciting to be here right now because it's taken a long time to be able to get here.
It has taken a long time.
Yes.
So we've been talking since COVID, right? We had you on a clubhouse meeting with your daughters, which was great. I think we had 8,000 people come through that room that time.
Wonderful.
That was really great. And then that was our first real interview. And then we did another one. I can't remember which one it was.
I can't either, but I know we did a couple of interviews.
Yes. Yeah. And then you started contributing to the magazine. I absolutely adore your photography and I love your focus. So tell us about you. Tell us how you grew up and how you got to how you started being interested in art and how you got to the focus that you have now.
Yeah, I really feel like it's come full circle for me because when I was young, I grew up on the reservation and my main language was Navajo, was Diné language. And so I grew up with my grandma culturally and traditionally, and she taught me the ways of ceremony and the ways of tradition. And so for me, that was the beginning of my learning, my teachings. And people ask me that all the time. So when did you become an artist? Or when did you decide to be an artist? And I think for me, I was always an artist. It was never a choice. It was only when someone said, hey, you're an artist, but all my life I've been creating, and it's just in different ways. Because when I grew up with my grandma, we didn't have running water or electricity. And so we were creative in the ways that we played as children. And a lot of what we played in was, of course, the sand, and that's why I feel like it's come full circle because I'm doing a lot of, right now, after I got my master's,
I know,
at Brigham Young University in art, I started doing sand installations and doing installations on the land and incorporating that. And to me, that was really important for me because that's what my grandma told me. She taught me from a young age that we need to protect our sacred, and the sacred is land, and our nature, animals, water, and air. And so for us as caretakers of the land, that's how we were taught as Diné people, that that's my focus. And my focus even in my photography is landscape and wildlife. And so when COVID hit, of course, all of these things combined to be able to help us heal during COVID. Art Heals the Jingle Dress Project. And the Jingle Dress itself was originally created for healing during the Spanish pandemic 100+ years ago. And it was really cool that we were able to utilize that during COVID to be able to bring unity and healing and just to help people find hope during that time when we all were separated in our own homes, and the cool thing about that too was that at the same time we were all separated and we were feeling scared, the earth was healing.
That's true. Yes.
Because no one was driving, no one was out, doing what they used to do, and the earth was healing, the plants, the animals, and the coolest thing for us when we went out to Yellowstone was that we were the only ones in Yellowstone when we were out there doing the dances and doing the photo shoots. And it was so cool because I've been out to Yellowstone so many times a year, and that was the only time I went out there, and we saw so much wildlife. We saw wolves, we saw otters, we saw all these. We even saw a bison calf being born, and it wasn't like way in the woods or whatever. It was just right there on the side of the road, and it was really cool to see that the wildlife knew that they were safe too.
Yes. I love that. Yes, I love to see how the earth kind of boomed when the people were away, right? It's like we're the scavages of the earth.
And that's what my grandma always taught me this when I was little. She says, son, the earth doesn't need us. We need the earth.
Yeah.
If we were all gone, if all humankind was gone, the earth would flourish and it would find its balance again. Right. And the animals would flourish, and and they would be in their own kingdom, and their own and they would survive.
Right.
And I was just gonna say, and that's a really a great lesson for all of us.
Yeah. I loved seeing how wildlife appeared in big cities, like in the middle of the street. Where I used to live in Colorado, we'd see wildlife all the time in our yard. But it's something different to see it in the middle of a street like New York City or something like that. Well, so you mentioned Art Heals, the Jingle Dress Project. So tell us more in detail. It's the dancers, there are 4 dancers. 2 of them are your daughters, and then a cousin and a friend, yes or no?
Yes. So we started, first of all, we started this not in the sense to start a project. It was more of a dream I had. It was a dream that I had that the jingle dress was a healing dance. And so I saw in my dream jingle dress dancers dancing on the land. And so when I woke up, I could feel healing and feel like I was calm and felt good. And I felt like this dream was telling me something because it kept bothering me the whole day. It kept coming back to me. And finally I told my family about it. And I told them, I said, this dream is telling me that I need to take the dance to the land so that we can heal. And so it was just my 2 daughters and myself and my wife Sharon, and we decided we needed to have 4 dancers because in the Diné culture 4 is a sacred number. And so that's when we asked Sunny and Joanne Begay and their sisters also. And we had quarantined together, our 2 families, because we couldn't go back to the Navajo Nation because everything was shut down. And so that's kind of how it happened. We were able, and I shared my dream with them, and I said, well, let's just go to the Salt Flats, in Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah. I said, I'm sure there's nobody going to be there, and it'll be really surreal and quiet, and we can do the dance and just see what happens. So, and that's kind of how it started. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to go across the land. It was no plan of anything. So when we actually went out to the Salt Flats, the 6 of us, and we set up to the girls to dance, it was just amazing because when they got ready and the song was played and they started dancing, I just started crying because it was so beautiful to see them in such a environment and being only there and only hearing the sound of the jingles and the song, and it just felt like the ancestors of that land were dancing with them. And then when we stopped, the girls also were, watery eyes, and they even said Dad, we could feel the ancestors dancing with us. Wow. And then my youngest daughter, Dion, she's just the one that said, hey, Dad, we got to do this more than just this one time. We got to take it to the land. And so that's when it actually started happening. We were like, oh, where should we go? What should we do? How can we do this? And so in my mind, I was thinking the lands that need to be healed the most were the lands that were colonized first, which were the state and national parks. Because when colonization happened, Native people were living in these great areas because they had food, they had water, and they had trees. They had all the resources like Yosemite, Yellowstone, these places where the Native people were prospering. So what did the non-native people do? They came in and they pushed them out so they could live by the water and they could take the resources. And so that's when we thought, oh, the ancestors from those lands need to be healed first. And so as we started doing that, that's when we started sharing on social media. And it really was wonderful because not only did it bring unity and healing, but it also brought a resurgence of culture and tradition. We got messages from mothers who are saying, I'm going to finish my daughter's jingle dress now because I have the time to do it, during COVID. And we had, which was really touching for me and the girls themselves, was we had young teenagers and probably young adolescent girls that were saying that they wanted to return back to the spiritual dance. And in order to dance the jingle dress dance, you're a vessel of these prayers. And so you're not supposed to drink, you're not supposed to do alcohol, you're supposed to be clean in spirit and mind and body. And so it was really cool to hear that these young people were saying they were gonna stop drinking, they were gonna stop doing alcohol, and they were gonna return back to their traditions. And that was probably I think for all of us was like the biggest impact that we could have accomplished.
That's amazing. Well, tell us the history of the jingle dress.
Yeah, the jingle dress, like I said, it originated 100 plus years ago with the Ojibwe people. To be specific, was the Mille Lacs people in Minnesota. Again, this whole story is just so, it's just so spiritual because I didn't know the origin of it until a historian had called me when she heard about our project. And so when she called me, all of this stuff started like fitting in, it was just amazing. But 100 years ago, it was the Spanish pandemic, and it really hit the native people hard, just like the COVID did.
Right.
A lot of people, thousands of people died. And anyway, an elder, he actually had his daughter got sick. And so when he went to sleep, he actually had a dream of the origin of the dress. So his ancestors came and said, if you make this dress with these jingles and you dance this dance, your daughter will be healed. And it was really cool in a sense because there's parallels with this, because I had the dream and then this elder had the dream. And then when he woke, he told his wife to make these dresses. And he said he wanted 4 dresses to be made. And the reason he wanted 4 was because he wanted them all in the sacred colors of the Ojibwe people. And so that's what they did. They made them, and then they made the dresses. And then that evening they had the dance, and the story says that the girl at the end of the dance was healed, and the girl danced with them. And
wow.
So because of the powerful healing, that the Ojibwe people decided that they would open it to other tribes to dance this dance, so that they can also heal. And so it's an intertribal. They call it an intertribal dance where other tribes can be able to dance it. And the really great thing for us and an honor for us was that the Mille Lacs people, when they saw we were doing this, they invited us to come to Minnesota, and they helped us, and they funded and helped us to get to Minnesota. And the girls were able to go to the first site, the original site where they had the dance 100 plus years ago. And the girls were able to dance there with some of the descendants of those families when it first happened.
Wow.
So it was really a spiritual moment for us.
Wow, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Well, and you ended up getting requests all across the country and dancing all across the country. Now, during COVID, of course, you were able to do it in peace and solitude. Do you still do it now? I know both your girls are in college now. Do you still do the dance?
Yes. The one thing that I've stressed every time since COVID is over is that we're a healing project. We're not a performance project. And so we basically don't accept funds to go and do these presentations. We just asked them, I asked them, well, just take care of my daughters, take care of Sunny and Joannie Begay, take care of their accommodations, feed them, I said, and if you want to do an honorarium or something, then it's up to you if you want to offer that. But I'm not going to say, oh, you need to give me X amount of money, because we want them to realize that for us, it's about a reciprocal. We want to come and we want to heal. We want to be able to be advocates of Native issues. If you want us to talk about women's rights and missing murdered Indigenous women and, the issues that Native people are going through, we'll do it willingly. And so that's kind of what we do. And we still have, and we actually went just in November of last year, we went out to New York and we went out to the Mohawk Nation. And we talked from all the way down from, kindergarten students all the way up to college students. And we spent 2 days out there and just giving presentations, and the girls did an honor dance out on the Mohawk Nation. And so it was really powerful because we were able to talk to the youth, and and we've gone to universities and colleges, just these past like 2-3 years, and it's just been wonderful because it's given us a platform to be able to speak, and it's been able to see the growth in all 4 girls of how they just got so much stronger and their identity got stronger. And it just was really amazing to see the transformation that my daughters and the Begays have gone through to be able to know that, they're worthy of who they are.
Right. Wow. I mean, that right there, those words are powerful. They're worthy of who they are. I mean, at Cultures, we talk about being truly authentically you, and that really speaks to that. So your daughters are in college. You just finished and got your master's as well.
Yes.
So tell me about that journey.
Yes, that was really a difficult decision because I was already an artist. I already had my career established. But for me, it was about more. I wanted more. I wanted to learn more. And I felt like I kind of felt like this pigeonhole of, oh, he's an artist as a photographer, But I could feel within myself that there were other ways that I wanted to express myself. And for a long time, I've been wanting to go back to school, but I think it was COVID that really pushed me to the point where I actually made the decision, because one of my best friends, he's younger than I. He's probably like in his mid-40s, but he kept saying, hey, Gene, you got to go back to school. You got to teach, you got to learn and teach and be able to go and get your degree so you can teach, and anyway, he ended up passing away during COVID. And I realized time is short. We don't know how long we have. And so that kind of was the breaker there that pushed me, and that's when I decided to go back. And when I went back, it was really fun because I got to be around young people, and I got to find new ways of being creative. And I think that's the part that really motivated me to kind of bring photography and art installations and sand work, bring them all together to be able to make these new creations that people have never seen.
Right. I don't know if I've seen one of your sand installations. So you just did one in New York City. And you just came from Phoenix.
Yes.
And you, a couple weeks ago, did one in Salt Lake City.
Yes, I actually have a exhibition right now open at the BYU Museum of Art right now.
Okay.
It's a solo show, and just to emphasize how important this is that this is the first solo show that BYU has ever had in their Museum of Art.
Wow, no way.
From a Native American.
Wow.
And so it was really an honor, and also was very stressful in the sense of
You're the first?
Yeah, I was the first, and it's really hard. People don't understand the identity of Native people is really hard, because as a Native American and because I'm brown, they think I represent all of the 576 federally tribes, and I don't, In fact, I don't even represent all of my Diné Navajo people, because I'm an individual just like everybody else. And when I say things, it's my voice, it's me, it's my beliefs and my traditions and culture. It's not this other Native person, because that Native person might not know their culture, might not know their traditions. So I can't really speak for everybody. But that's the part that's that stigma of identity. Like, oh, if Eugene messes up, then all of Native America is messed up, And
Wow.
that's the part about identity, as Native people, and people don't understand that, they don't. And then they also, like, lots of people will say to us a lot of times, can't all you Native people, why can't you all come together and make this one voice? You guys would be powerful. And then I say to non-Native people, I said, well, why don't you Republicans and Democrats and independents just all come together, and you would be powerful, And so, that's when people really start thinking like, oh, okay, because, the Navajo and Hopis, we're right together. Zunis are right together with us in Arizona. We all live close together. But we all have different beliefs and traditions, and they think, oh, just because we're Native American, we all believe the same things, but we don't.
Wow, that's powerful as well. So you've talked about your backgrounds, what inspires you. What inspires you to do the sand installations? Give us an image of what they look like.
So my sand installations, the one main project I did, and this is the thing that is really, I think is powerful with it, is that I actually asked people all over America to send sand samples, soil samples to me. 2 cups of soil,
Soil or sand?
My daughter she's an environmental science major. She says, Dad, it's not sand.
Oh, it's soil?
And she says, and don't ever say the D word, Dad. And I'm like, what's the D word? And she says, dirt. She says, it's soil, So I've not said the D word, I say it's soil or sand. Yeah. So I asked people all over America to send soil to me. It was a social media blast. And it was really fun because I wanted this project, like the Art Heals the Jingle Dress Project, I wanted it to bring community together. I wanted people to realize also when they send the 2 cups of soil to me, I sent them a website. The website goes to the Native Lands organization website. So then they can say, oh, okay, say Fort Collins. They can type in Fort Collins and it'll tell you the Native people that lived here. Then they would write down, I had a form for them to fill out. Then they would find out who the Native people lived here before they did. And so it was a learning process. It was them to learn and then also to send me a paragraph of why they wanted to be a part of this project. So the whole part of it was like bringing community and bringing awareness to Native people and the original caretakers of the land. And so I got 98 samples from all over the world. And what we did is my daughters and I, we took the sand and we actually washed the sand. People didn't realize that. We washed it. Yeah, we washed the sand and we dried it out. And then we sifted it. And we sifted out the glass and the paper and all the stuff out of it. And then we washed it again. And as we washed it again, then we put it through a fine sifter. And the fine sifter brought the colors and the beautifulness of the soil out. And the one thing that's a really cool metaphor of that is that the sands that we got from cities like Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia, and all these places, they all came in and they were all gray and green, almost the same look colors, just really dingy looking, as you would probably see in the city.
Right.
But as you cleaned it and washed it, I told the girls, as we washed the city off of them, their true colors came out.
Wow.
And I said, and that's a huge metaphor for all of us. If we can look past our color and see who we really are and inside, we're all beautiful people.
Right.
We all have colors that would be, could shine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what I felt like is what was really powerful about what I do with the sand is trying to bring awareness to the land. And as a caretaker that I believe I am of the land, because as Diné people, we believe we came from the land. And so that connection, and I want that to be the connection in all of my work. And even the Jingle Dress Project was the same thing. I didn't just take pictures of my beautiful daughters. I made sure the landscape and they were in unity within the images.
Yeah.
It wasn't just them, It was about them being in the land.
And it's so beautiful because you have spring, summer, winter, fall. I mean, the images are just outstanding. And of course, their native dress in each of those types of landscapes. It just really brings out what that particular place is about, right? And so when you do the photography, do you do the healing dance every time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That was the basis. The whole project in itself was the basis was to go to these lands and do the healing dance. On these lands, and then the photography part of it was like secondary. It was a documentation. It was almost kind of like an art installation of, oh, this is what we're doing. To heal, but we need to keep it a remembrance of it, a memorial of it, so that when this is all over, people will remember.
Right.
And remember. And even in the sense, like even this weekend when I went to Phoenix, Arizona, and I was at the Herd Museum, and there's a market there, a show, I showed these images, and the images reminded the people of how sad and detrimental COVID was, but at the same time, it also brought memories of, my gosh, my family and we were more close together at that time. I remembered what was important to me at that time. It wasn't just about job. It wasn't just about money. It was about survival, togetherness. It was about being scared together, and how that brought unity to people, even though it wasn't the best of times. But we were all able to unite with our families and really find out what was really important to us, And at that point in time, it was, for us, land. It was the people. It was about healing. And I think that's the part that I think if people realize that, because a lot of people, when they think of home, they think of my comfy chair, my own bed.
I know you like
Yeah, but they never think of the land. They never think of their backyard, or, and even in the mornings when we turn the faucets on, we just expect the water to pour out. How many of us wake up in the mornings and pray and prayer and thank the Creator for the water and the air that we breathe, And that, to me, that's my focus. My focus is that these things aren't going to be here forever if we don't take care of it.
Right.
And I think that's the part that I really like people to realize. And I don't care what color you are. I don't care what political views you have, but we all need air.
Right.
We need water to survive. And as far as I know, there's no plan B. This is one world, one earth. This is all we got.
I was talking to a gentleman, and one of my pet peeves is when people are washing their hands or washing dishes or whatever, and just let the faucet run. And I always say something. I try to say it in a way that doesn't sound condescending or like scolding or whatever. Not always successful, but but I try. And this gentleman said, there's always been the same amount of water. And I said, but will you always have access to it? Right?
Yeah.
So, there's all this ocean and everything. However, how much of it is clean? How much of it is available to you? People, as you say, especially in industrialized countries, they're not thinking about how the water gets to them until it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
We saw that in California with the fires.
Yeah.
So very, very good information to share with people and for people to think about and be grateful for not just one day, every day. Yeah,
and people don't realize too, like on my land, the Navajo Nation, we take up four corners. So we did the four corners: Utah, Arizona, Colorado, all those the states, and we still have people on our reservation who don't have running water. They don't have access to running water. They don't have access to electricity. There's still people living like I did, even to this day and age. And I think that's the part that is really, difficult in the sense of how Native people live, and it's not our fault. It's not our fault. And people just blame that it's your own fault. But it's like, well, No, because of treaty and because of things that were promised to us that haven't been promised and haven't been kept. That these are the conditions that we have to live in.
Wow. So how do you think that affects most Native people? I mean, you've turned what could be something that's very traumatic or discouraging into something very empowering and chosen to give back. How does it affect other people?
I think it's really difficult. I can see it. I can see it in my own people, my own family. I can see it. It's more of like it's like a personal choice that you have to make. It's you can't just make it for a group because you don't know the trauma they went through. And I can't like be the judge of somebody and saying, you're not helping. Well, I don't know what they went through. Right. I mean, there's all kinds of Native issues that have happened in the past. Like there's even like now they're finding out all the deaths that happen in the Indian boarding schools system and stuff like that. And my family went through the boarding school systems, and even all this abuse that has happened, and people don't understand that it's really difficult to survive when you have that trauma in your life.
Right.
It's very tragic, and it doesn't just affect the person who went through it. All of a sudden, it affects their kids. It affects we're still 3 generations out are still affected by the boarding schools and affected by being it's hard for us now. All those people who went through boarding school have a hard time as a family because they don't know what family means. They don't know how to be a mom and dad. And the tragedies and the traumas they went through at those schools, it's hard for them to forget. And so those are the things that affect a lot of Native people. And not only that, I can honestly say I was an angry Indian. When I was young, I was on the front lines of protesting and doing all these movements. But I realized
you're so calm. It's really hard for me to imagine.
Yeah, and that's what I was just ready to say. And it was really hard for me to come to terms with my own tragedies and my own traumas and my abuses. And it came to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't like it when someone yells at me. And here I am on the front line. I'm yelling at them. So then I started realizing and internalizing and saying, but if I can be an activist in a beautiful way, I can change people's hearts. And I've realized that if we're on the same heart level, conversation can happen. But we can never, that's when our minds open. Our minds open once our hearts open. And then we can converse, we can talk, we can say things that we really are passionate about, and we can understand. But if that never happens, then we have what we have right now.
So you've taken this passion and created something concrete that not only gives back to others, but to the earth. What would be your top 3 tips to any cross-cultural person out there on how they could maybe take their trauma and make that something that gives back and helps heal, or how they can take their experiences and use it to inspire themselves?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I think for me, and I can only speak from me, the reasons that I can do what I do and be calm in turmoil is that I had to express myself. You cannot get over trauma. You cannot get over your troubles if you can't express yourself, if you can't get it out of you. And that's one of the things I realized like throughout my life now. I feel like if I didn't find my wife, Sharon, if I didn't have 2 daughters, if I had 2 sons, it probably would have been different. If I didn't have these women around me, if I didn't have my grandma and my mom teach me when I was young, I wouldn't know how to be soft, and I wouldn't know how to soften. And I think that's the part that I love about myself, is that I treat women the way I want to be treated. And I think as we can realize that if we treat people the same way as we want to be treated, this world would be so much different.
Mm.
And I think and then also, with trauma and with abuses, it's about being able to speak. Don't be quiet, and you don't have to yell and scream. You can do it in a beautiful way. You can go see a psychiatrist, or you can go and talk to your family members, and don't enclose it, because when you enclose it, it causes chaos. It causes your mind to be worrying, and that worry starts becoming anger. And I think that's the part that I've really worked hard at. It's not easy, I tell you that. Every day, and one of the biggest things is turn social media off when you can. When you don't need it, turn it off. Go for a walk. Go into your backyard. How many of you been in your backyards today?
I love my backyard.
Because the backyard, even just walking down to the park or something, can be so healing. And I think that's the part. And I love what my grandma told me when I was young. She said, son, whenever you feel lost, you feel scared, or you feel alone, take it to the woods. The trees will listen to your heartaches. The trees will listen to what you will need to hear. And then they'll talk back to you. And throughout my whole life, I can honestly tell you, they do. They will listen to you. You can scream as loud as you want out there, and they'll listen to you, and they'll feel you. And as you're quiet and silent, you're going to feel them talking to you. And I think that's the part that we need to realize, that healing comes not just from, ourselves, but we need people. We need nature. And if we can find that balance, I think that's when, when art can heal.
Is the sand kind of that nod to nature, or yes, not the sand, the soil, that nod to nature and to that healing?
Yes, and that's the part that I was talking about, how it came full circle for me. So when I was at my grandma, the soil was what I played in. I made roads, and I used pieces of wood as cars, and my sister and I, we would make these big squares, and we would make, here's our kitchen, and here's our room, and here's the bathroom, and we would do diagrams and just draw on the sand, and we would walk around in it like it was our home, and that's how we created things, and it was our dreams. Like, this is the kind of house I want when I grow up, and and the sand, and that's why I was thinking that, and all my sand installations I tell people, I say, the putting the sand in my hand and the soil comes out, and it's just beautiful feeling it in your hands. I said the installation and being able to do that is my healing. It's my meditation. That's my ceremony. Now what's finished is for you to understand. Because when you walk in there, you can smell the sand. It smells like rain, like it just rained. You can smell all the sands. You can see all the colors. And 98 soil samples, and none of them are the same color.
Wow.
And it's just beautiful when you see it.
Wow.
And it's just, and it takes you away. It takes you to a place where you've never felt and never seen.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
You're welcome.
You have a healing energy that you bring with you and that you brought into this room. So I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
And I hope you all enjoyed all of the words of wisdom that Eugene had to impart, and that you check out his art, his photography, and their Art Heals project as well, so you can live truly authentically yourself and embrace your cultural passions. Thanks for being part of the Destinations podcast family. We're so glad you're here, and you can help us grow as well. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, whether you're listening or watching. And make sure that we bring you content that helps you not only be truly authentically you, but helps you embrace your cultural passions.